Hello and welcome to another episode of NewsX Deepdive. My name is Vineet Malhotra, where today we track how Pakistan is facing yet another economic shock, and this time by one of its own closest allies in the Gulf. The United Arab Emirates has asked Islamabad to immediately repay a massive $3.5 billion worth of loan, forcing Pakistan into a financial scramble at a time when its economy is already under severe stress. So the big question that arises is Pakistan running out of economic lifelines? Well, Pakistan is preparing to clear its entire $3.5 billion debt to the UAE by the end of April, after reports stated that the Gulf state recently asked for the immediate return of the funds in the wake of the hostile situation in the Gulf country due to the US-Israel-Iran war. Well, the development has also been confirmed by a senior Pakistani cabinet minister. Taken by the political leadership, the decision was conveyed to a group of reporters, with the minister confirming that the full amount would be repaid. However, Pakistani media reported that parallel decisions are also underway on the possibility of converting part of the outstanding sum into investment. Well, the decision marks a historic departure from Pakistan's traditional reliance on perpetual extensions from Gulf allies, as the country grapples with the economic fallout of the ongoing West Asia conflict. The repayment schedule has been finalized as $450 million to be returned on the 11th of April, followed by $2 billion repayment on the 17th of April and another $1 billion on the 23rd. Officials said arrangements are being made with the likelihood that the funds could be drawn from the central bank's $16.4 billion foreign exchange reserves. Interestingly, of the total amount, $450 million traces back to a one-year loan taken in 96-97, which is now set to be cleared after nearly 3 decades. Well, the move came amidst shifting dynamics around the debt. The UAE had earlier shown reluctance to extend long-term rollovers, opting instead for short-term extensions. For example, in January, two $1 billion loans were set to mature on the 16th and the 22nd, which were rolled over for just 1 month at an interest rate of 6.5%, despite Pakistan seeking a 2-year extension at roughly 3% interest rate. Officials believe that the ongoing US-Israel-Iran conflict accelerated the decision-making process, culminating in the current repayment plan. This marks a significant shift. For years, the UAE has been Pakistan's financial cushion. Loans were routinely rolled over, interest rates were manageable, and repayment deadlines were relaxed. But this has now changed dramatically. The UAE has shifted from long-term support to short-term, high-interest rollovers, such as the above-mentioned 6.5% rate. Pakistan requested extensions at lower rates but was denied. And now the UAE has pulled the plug completely. There are two key reasons behind this. Firstly, geopolitical uncertainty. The ongoing West Asia conflict involving Iran has put Gulf nations in the line of fire and forced them to secure their finances. Secondly, declining trust in Pakistan's repayment capabilities. Repeated rollovers since 2018 signaled Pakistan was not in a position to repay on time, and now patience has run out. This is where the situation becomes critical. Pakistan's foreign exchange reserves are only around $16.4 billion. Out of this, nearly $3 billion will be wiped out instantly. That's roughly 18% hit to the reserves. And remember, this is just one obligation. Despite the outflows, the cabinet minister maintained that foreign exchange reserves remain at comfortable levels, noting that the country has previously managed with reserves covering just 1 week of imports. This also comes after earlier this year, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif acknowledged that reserve levels had improved, but largely due to the $12 billion deposits from friendly countries. Reflecting on Pakistan's reliance on external support, he had admitted feeling embarrassed while seeking financial assistance abroad, saying such dependence often comes with expectations that limit the country's room for maneuver. April 2026 is turning into a perfect storm. Pakistan's total external payments this month include the $3.5 billion UAE loan, as well as a $1.3 billion Eurobond repayment. That makes a total outflow in a single month to $4.8 billion, nearly $5 billion. That's nearly 1/3 of its reserves under pressure. But that's not all. Pakistan is also tied to a $7 billion IMF program. Under this, it must maintain $12.5 billion in external deposits from allies like UAE, China and Saudi Arabia. But here's the contradiction. The same countries that are supposed to support Pakistan are now asking for their money back. This exposes a dangerous reality. Pakistan's economy is running on borrowed support, not internal strength. And at the same time, economic pressures persist. Exports have declined by 8% during the first 9 months of the current fiscal year, complicating the government's plan to double outbound shipments from $32 billion within 3 years to exit the IMF program. Foreign investment has also failed to gain momentum and has in fact dropped sharply this year. Borrowing becomes difficult, with the UAE initially extending loans at 3% interest in 2018, but raising the rate to 6.5% last year. Pakistan has been pushing for a reduction to previous levels, citing improved credit ratings and easing global interest rates. Meanwhile, plans to raise 250 million through a Panda bond issuance in January have run into trouble, with officials attributing the setback to mismanagement of the process. On the ground, fuel prices are soaring, with both petrol and diesel rising by 40 to 55%. Emergency-style economic management is kicking in, with reduced work weeks, schools being shut and ministers' salaries being cut. Essentially, Pakistan is repaying old debts with shrinking resources. This move by the UAE sends a clear signal. Blank check diplomacy is over and financial support now comes with strict timelines and conditions. With the world finding particularly volatile times, even friendly countries are prioritizing their own economic stability. Pakistan is no longer getting automatic bailouts. Officials claim that the reserves are still comfortable, but the reality is far from fragile. Pakistan has previously operated with just 2 weeks of import cover, but a sharp reserve drop could trigger currency pressure, inflation spikes, and further dependence on IMF. Most importantly, it leaves Pakistan with significantly less room to negotiate globally. So here's the bottom line. Pakistan is being forced to repay billions it cannot comfortably afford at a time when its economy is already stretched thin. This is not just loan repayment, this is a warning sign. Allies are stepping back, financial buffers are shrinking, and Pakistan's economic model is under serious strain. And the real question now is, if even friendly nations are asking for their money back, who will Pakistan turn to next? Let's get an opinion from Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, on this very sensitive situation persisting in Pakistan at this point in time. Ambassador Mukherjee, always a pleasure having you on the show, ma'am. So, what becomes of Pakistan now? We already know that it's in shambles. It's like the king has no clothes, but the king has a nuclear bomb.
The king has no clothes. The king has many nuclear bombs. Formidable defense arsenal, nuclear arsenal. First use, they have not ruled out no first use. On top of that, they talk of themselves as mediators, where actually they are intermediaries who are not respected by the countries they are trying to mediate or intermediate. If they are in such dire financial straits, how can you try to even pose as an intermediary or a mediator? Moreover, there is also very high defense procurement policy of the Pakistani government, which is much higher percentage of GDP than, let's say, India. They are trying to get very sophisticated military equipment because they claim that if anything happens to them, they are going to nuke India. They said it, it's gone public on it. So my question is that in this conflict which is taking place, this is a very interesting side effect of the conflict, that those Gulf countries which used to routinely prop up Pakistan and its failing economy, which has been failing for a long time, are now no longer in a position to do so because their economies have been hit. For instance, UAE, which thought that Dubai is the center, which is true. I mean, it's an amazing place for international business and commerce. Dubai has taken a hit. Qatar has taken a huge hit. So these countries are no longer available for giving these large loans. In fact, they are demanding it back. This will also hit the Pakistani diaspora in these countries because they send remittances to Pakistan, and those remittances will also get hit in case the economic situation in the Gulf states does not improve quickly with a ceasefire which seems to be drifting further and further away. as the American president makes more and more threats to bomb Iran into the Stone Age. So I think that this is a direct impact of the conflict, but it also shows the Gulf states are losing patience with Pakistan's financial status, Pakistan's insistence to try to play a larger than life diplomatic role in such conflicts. The field marshal strutting around as if he comes from a country which has huge financial resources behind it, and in a way trying to at the same time play a footsie with China, coming out with the peace plan with China, a 5 point plan, which has been rejected by all sides, etc. So my question is, Vineet, that given the dire financial straits that you have outlined, and given the IMF insistence on a certain percentage of financial viability that Pakistan is forced to maintain, when these reserves will fall below a certain level, as they surely will, as oil prices continue to rise as they are, uh, who is going to bail them out next?
Hmm.
Because the Chinese have shown some reluctance in the last 1 year. It's no longer giving money to Pakistan with the kind of open-hearted generosity that it did in the past, because the Chinese, though they don't admit it, are also facing their own kind of economic challenges, which they are trying to steer their country through, and so they also don't have any more the kind of excess liquidity which would fund these kind of generous loans which were available to Pakistan in the past. So I would also add that this will affect their defense procurement, their ambitious plans for their air force or for their army, etc. It's bound to, because when you don't have money for food for your people, how are you going to get all these expensive defense procurement? The intention of which is to terrorize your own population in Baluchistan, etc., to start wars with Afghanistan, and to threaten to nuke India in any eventuality of an attack on Pakistan. They said by the United States, what they will do is they will nuke India uh,
Hmm.
because they can't reach out to US, so they'll nuke India. That's a very generous thought on the part of our uh, very sympathetic neighbor, Beneath.
Hmm. I guess the next thing for Pakistan, ma'am, would be to start selling their nuclear bombs on the black market, because that's the only source of revenue that I can foresee for the way the Pakistanis operate. Always a pleasure having you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. We take a short break. We'll be right back.